What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Success Spectrum podcast. I'm your host, Kadeem McLean, and I figured today this would be an important topic to talk about because a lot of us just sit still and we become comfortable with where we are. We end up not moving forward because of the fear of the unknown. What's behind that closed door? We don't know, but we know what we have where we are. Even though where we are, things might not be so great. Things are good, but things could be better. There's a lot of things we may not like in our environment, with the job that you have, the way you're living your day-to-day life, whatever it might be. And today what we're talking about is giving up to go up, because you got to give up to go up. And that's a phrase that I don't want to take the credit for. Eric Thomas said it many years ago. And that's one thing that I realized is so true, because if you're at a good level right now, in order to get to great, you got to give up good. Because good and great don't go together. To go from good to get to great, you got to give up good and get to great. To go from bad or poor or whatever level, to go from survival, I will say, to thriving, you got to give up survival. You got to switch the mentality. You got to put things into overdrive. You have to make certain decisions differently than you would if you were trying to get to survival or stay at survival. Something's got to switch. Something's got to change. You can only go so fast in a manual vehicle or a stick shift, if that's what you remember it as, in certain gears. Gear 2, you're not going to be going 100 miles per hour or kilometers per hour in gear 2. No, you got to get up to gear 4, maybe gear 3 potentially for that one, right? So you can only go so fast or so far, so high on the spectrum of success or whatever you deem to be successful by operating a certain way with a certain mentality and making certain decisions. So being where we are, we have to make different decisions. For example, me, when I was leaving my job, right, my previous job, there was a lot of questions and concerns and, going into business full time or sticking with the job for now, finding a job that I can work from home remotely, do a little bit less work, because the way they had me working was crazy. But a job where what I ended up landing on, the decision was a job where I can do a little bit less work in terms of workload, but get paid more and work remote. That way I have a bit more autonomy. That way I have, of course, a higher pay. And of course, I have freedom of location for the most part, being able to move to wherever I need to move to or want to move to. And that was part of the strategy. And by the grace of God, I found it. However, that didn't happen. I didn't necessarily find it until I made the decision. But even still, when it came across my table, there were some concerns. There was concerns of, okay, but what if I'm unable to hack it in this new position? What if it doesn't work out the way I'm thinking it'll work out? What if the environment isn't like they say it is, right? And again, that's the unknown. But with the current job that I had at the time, I knew what it was like. Even though it wasn't the best, I knew what it was like. I knew what I was coming into every day. I knew the environment I was coming into. I knew the pay I was going to get, right? Again, the pay on the other side was better, but there were other factors that play into that, because it's not all about the money, right? And I'm only going through this because I ended up taking the new job, of course, the better job. But I'm only going through this to help you kind of rationalize it in your brain to say, why are you staying still where you are? Because again, I had to give up what was pretty good to get to great, because the opportunity that I have now with work allows me to focus on my businesses. It allows me to focus on coaching. It allows me to live more in alignment with the way I want to live, as opposed to 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 or whatever, being stuck at the computer doing mundane work you don't want to do. It allows me a level of autonomy and flexibility. Now, that wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have gotten there if I didn't give up what was pretty good to get to great. So for you, what are you holding on to? What have you been holding on to for the last X amount of years or months or even a decade that you need to let go because you've continuously had thoughts of this other thing, this bigger, better thing? But you get stuck on the fear of the unknown. We're human. We all have a level of what ifs. But here's the thing. Instead of saying, what if it doesn't work out? What if the ground crumbles beneath my feet? What if it does work out? What if you get elevated to a whole new level? What if it's everything you thought it would be and then some? Because we always default to the negative. Let's stop worrying about what if this thing doesn't work out. What if I don't get paid enough? What if I don't find the opportunity? What if customers don't come when I start this business? What if nobody likes it? Forget about all of that. First of all, you're jumping to the absolute worst case scenario. And while personally, being a pragmatist, I do believe it is important, at least for me, to somewhat have a thought of the unknown, not to sit there and dwell, or rather the worst case scenario, not to sit there and dwell on it, but to play it out. And that might help you as well. Okay, so worst case scenario, what happens? Worst case scenario, you go get a new job. Back to my example. Worst case scenario, if I were to go get a new job and it doesn't work out, I can either go back to the job I was at, I can go into business full time and replace my income that way. I can find a different job. I could work part-time somewhere where it still allows me the time to build my business. There's so many different options. So it's not like, oh no, I'm going to be homeless, or I'm going to have no money for food, or whatever the case is, if this job doesn't work out, this new job. No, the worst case scenario, again, I played it out in my mind to say, okay, there's other opportunities. There's so many different options in terms of ways to go with this thing if it doesn't work out like I hope it does. As a subscriber to this podcast or a listener to this podcast, I want to give you $30. How am I going to do that? Enter Rakuten. Rakuten is a platform where you can find deals of the week. And on here, it doesn't matter if you're looking for clothes, doesn't matter if you're looking for electronics, services, food, you can get cash back. $30 cash back, rather 30%, 20%, 4%. You can get Dyson, Yeti. I know a lot of us need to file our taxes. Those of us who are late, you can use Intuit TurboTax to file your taxes. Ancestry. There are deals upon deals on here. And here's how it's going to work. I refer you. You click the link in the description. You spend $30 on this platform. Guess what? We both get $30 back. Sounds like a win-win deal, doesn't it? Go ahead and click that link in the description and get yourself your $30. So for you, if it helps you, not if it adds fear, but if it helps you, play through that worst case scenario. How bad is it really? We love to make this little anthill seem like Kilimanjaro, like a giant mountain, when it's really just an anthill. But when we think through it like that and look at the facts of the matter, then it starts to shrink that big monster of a mountain that we have in our mind into something so small. It's really nothing. But again, that's one side of it. The other side of it, and whichever one works best for you, is to think again of the positive, not what if negative. What if it doesn't work out? What if people don't like this product or service that I'm launching? What if no customers come through the door? What if they do? What if you launch this product or service and you get so many people coming to you that the way you have your system set up is unable to support it because you have such an influx? That's a great problem to have. What if you get so many people coming into your, emailing you about your service that you're there like, oh shoot, I need to quit my job if I'm going to service all of these people. And it's going to bring me an influx of income, and it's going to bring me a better lifestyle because I love this thing that I've started. I really get to help people. That's a great what if. So what if those things happen versus what if all that negative stuff? Focus on the positive in that situation. And at the end of the day, I think that'll help to alleviate some of the stress and concern, because the decisions you've been making up to this point, forgive me for saying this, it's going to come off harsh. I don't mean it harsh. However, it is the reality and something that I had to look at for myself many times throughout my life. The decisions that I make are the reason why my life is the way it is. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent. My life is the way it is because of the decisions that I have been making throughout my life and the decisions I am making today. Your life is the way it is because of the decisions you have made up to this point. Again, it's a harsh truth, but your life is the way it is because of the decisions that you have been making up until this point. So if you want something different, you got to do something different. If you want a different result, you got to respond differently or decide differently, think differently, act differently. Albert Einstein, insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. It does not come, that different result does not come your way without doing something different. So we have to do something different. And if we're not, guess what? Life is not going to change. Life is going to stay the exact same. So if you want to be over here on a different trajectory, you got to change your steps. You got to change the actions you're taking daily, the information you're taking in. You hear me talk about that all the time because your mental is so important and vital. Your perspective is so important and vital, and the information you take in helps to shape your perspective. If you have a negative viewpoint, if you think the system is against you, if you think the job, employment, and all these other things are against you, the world is against you, woe is me, you're a victim. You are creating a victim mindset and you are treating yourself as a victim. And if you act as a victim, subconsciously or consciously, you give away your power. There's nothing you can do. You've given it away because you're blaming everything and everybody else, but you're not taking accountability. Until you take accountability, then you can give yourself your power back and realize, okay, I'm in this situation because of the decisions that I have been making. There's some outside factors, don't get me wrong, and we'll talk about that momentarily, but your life is the way it is because of the decisions that you have been making. Once you take ownership and you realize that, now you say, okay, so if I want this result, I need to make this step. If I want $1 million in 20 years, I've got to put away X amount a month in an account that's growing X percentage and continue to do that every single paycheck, every month, whatever the case is. If I want to build a business that's bringing me $10,000 in revenue, I get X amount per call or per service sold or product sold. And the law of numbers, 10-3-1, whatever numbers you want to look at, I need to make X amount of calls every day, every week. Again, look at your situation. If you're the type that's saying, you know what, I am a victim, there's nothing I can do about it. And again, like I said, there are situations and circumstances we're unable to control. There are. I'm not being, what's the word I want to use? I'm not attempting to be facetious. I'm struggling to say the word right now. Sorry, my energy's up. Facetious. I think, anyway, you know what word I'm trying to say. I'm not attempting to be that and minimize the situations you have gone through. We've all gone through some situations, and I'm not minimizing anybody's. I never would. However, things that you can control, the decisions you are making, and you can control a lot more than you think you can. Look at those situations. And if you're the type that says, you know what, it is the system, there's nothing I can do about it. If you're the type that's saying these jobs, the government, whatever it is, then I'm unable to help you. Nobody can help you. You got to fix that for yourself. But if you came here listening to this and you're like, you know what, I do realize the decisions I'm making have me stuck where I am, good or bad or indifferent. And I realized that if I want to get to a different position in life, a different lifestyle, live differently and be happy, if you're not currently happy, I've got to make different decisions. Then we can do something. Now we can work with it. But that first step is awareness. Once you're aware, then you can accept it. And then we can take action, right? Because if you're unaware that the decisions you're making are why you are where you are, then we're stuck in the matrix. There's nothing we can do about it. But now you consider yourself aware. You know, I've told you, and you've probably heard it from so many different people. Now you can either accept it or stay stuck in that victim mentality. And if you don't want to stay stuck in that victim mentality, welcome to the victor mentality. It's nice to have you here. Let's work on this thing. Let's look at what we want, break it down to the ridiculous and reverse engineer it to say, okay, this is what I want. This is what I got to do daily to get it. This is what I got to do weekly to get it. And so we can start working on that now. And in terms of, again, controlling the controllables, some of you think that, I was thinking about this earlier, and I'll give this example. Hopefully it works out. When you think of controlling what you can control, you can control so much more than you think you can. And if you think I'm wrong, listen to this. Again, hopefully this works out. You think you cannot control the weather. You technically cannot, but you technically can, because while you're unable to literally say, okay, stop rain, like it's not going to work, you can move into a space indoors, let's say, where the water is not hitting you, it's not raining. Or you can go to a different side of the city or province or state or wherever you are where it's not raining. So while you didn't necessarily control the weather, you controlled the weather that you're experiencing. So I'm only giving that, again, hopefully it works, example to show you that there's so many different things that you think you cannot control. And there's a lot that we don't control, but what can we control within that? Again, you're not going to say, okay, sunshine today, and it's going to be sunshine. No, but you can go somewhere else where there is sunshine, or you can stay indoors where there's no rain, or whatever the case might be. You don't like a certain thing, you can do something about it. Control the controllables. You don't like the way people talk to you at your job, you can do something about it. You think you can't because you think you're going to get fired. Listen, it doesn't matter. You are a person. No one at a job is going to talk disrespectfully to me because I understand my value as a person. They're a person, you're a person, I'm a person. No one's above me or below me. We're all equal. So you better talk to me with respect or don't talk to me at all, period. Doesn't matter if you're my manager. Doesn't matter if you're the director or CEO of the company. Listen, I'm self-respecting. I respect myself. You have to respect yourself. So yes, that's something you can control, though you think you cannot. And if you think you cannot, you're going to sit there and continue to let them talk down to you. And that in and of itself is a problem, because now you are diminishing yourself and your value is being lowered every single day from your own perspective, because you're letting them talk to you a certain way. And that's getting into your psyche. That's getting into your mental. And as I started off saying, your mental, your mentality, your mindset, is so vital and important because perspective is everything, and your mindset helps to shape that perspective. So again, control the controllables. Whatever you want in life, you can achieve it. Listen, if you've been a struggling entrepreneur, you feel like you're putting in so much effort constantly, daily, so much time, effort, and energy, but you feel like you're stretched thin. You feel like you're overworked, overwhelmed, and underpaid. I have a campaign running right now, and it is called the Apex System. This is something that is going to help to change your life as an entrepreneur because we're going through the system, and I'm going to teach you all about it. A stands for automation. P stands for prioritize. E for elevate. And X for excel. Each of these things, this 4-step system is going to help you to change your life. And instead of being overworked, overwhelmed, and underpaid, you're going to live a life that you really want to live. The reason you started this business, that lifestyle you've been aiming for, we're going to help you to accomplish that by now doing the tasks that you love to do, be overpaid, and have the time to spend with your family, your loved ones, or to have that freedom that you've been seeking. Freedom of time, freedom of location, and of course, freedom of finances. But that only works if you go ahead and you register. apexaffiliation.com/system. Go there, register so that you can understand how this 4-step system really will help you to elevate. apexaffiliation.com/system. I'll see you there. And I'm not trying to be, what's the word I want to use? I'm not trying to be, super positive or whatever the case is. I truly believe that whatever you want in life, you can achieve. Whatever I want in life, I can achieve. But it's taking the right steps to get there and adjusting my mindset to get there. Because I also believe this, to become the people that we want to be, to grow, we have to die a little bit every day. We have to die to our limitations. We have to die to the previous versions of ourselves, put death to it. Because Kadeem is no longer this person who, I don't remember the last time I really drank pop, but Kadeem is no longer this person who drank pop, who used to drink pop. No, Kadeem is somebody who predominantly drinks water. I might have some tea. I might have a French vanilla, but Kadeem drinks water. I don't go to restaurants and order drinks, whatever the case is. And this isn't to say I'm better than anybody. Again, I'm not above or beneath anybody. I have my own vices. However, that's an example of me dying to a certain version of myself that I used to be to move into the better version of myself where my body operates the way it's supposed to because I'm drinking the right amounts of water versus all these sugary drinks. So again, to become the person that we want to be, to grow, to make progress towards this best version of ourselves that we all claim we want to really achieve and become, we have to die a little bit every day to the person who we used to be, making the decisions that would hold us where we are today. We got to act differently, move forward, change, not change in terms of becoming a different person per se. And actually on that note, I never understood it. And I thought about it again recently. If somebody looks at me 5 years, 10 years down the road, 2 years down the road, say, Kadeem, you changed. Typically you hear people say that, when people get some money or whatever the case is, because they think they're acting different. And Jamaican, we say you're acting stush, right? But they think you're acting a certain way. So here's the thing about that. If somebody comes and tells me that, Kadeem, you changed, as if it's something negative, I'm gonna say, thank you. I appreciate it, right? And again, in Jamaica, someone might say stush or something along those lines, but I'd say thank you because I do want to change. I do want to grow. That's a compliment. I am no longer this person who allows my limitations and victim mentality to hold me back. No, kill all of that. Let it die. Leave it where it is and move on to this person who has a victor mentality. And that is what I have been doing and continuing to make progress on, because without that, I am going to stay exactly where I am with the life I have, right? Whatever cards I was dealt, I just put them down. I don't strategically play them. But if I strategically play them, that means I'm giving myself a chance at winning the game, because I'm looking at it as a victor to say, okay, this is the hand I have. Now I can just place them all down and give up and have that victim mentality, or I can have the victor mentality and strategically play my cards and really try to win this thing based on the cards that I was dealt. So again, you got the two choices. And I want to ask you, if you are going to become, or stay rather, a victim, go ahead and put victim in the chat. And don't even do that, really, because my hope is that all of you will choose number 2, to have that victor mentality. Drop victor in the chat, in the comments, wherever you might be seeing this. And if you really are going to go after that victor lifestyle and make this shift, Make the change that you need to make to become that person you want to become, to achieve that level of success. Again, whatever you deem successful, and really alter your life for the better. Make those decisions that lead you down that path to becoming the best version of yourself. Drop Victor in the chat. Appreciate you for stopping by. Hopefully this was helpful for you. And if you found value in this, share this out with somebody who you know needs to hear it. Kadeem here, and I'll see you in the next one.